Good to see everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Speaking of which, I probably need to know if it's good morning or good afternoon for everybody. So, can you do me a favor and just type in the chat as to where you're joining us from, please? I'm going to do the same thing as well. All right. Michael, Tina, Duncan, let us know where you're joining from, please. Thank you. Beautiful. And as you do that, I'm just going to share my screen over here. So you get to see what exactly is happening. I'm on plain old PowerPoint right now, except it's not exactly plain old PowerPoint. As you're typing your responses in the chat, I get to know that Michael is joining us from Richardson in Texas. So Michael, thank you for literally writing my slide in real time. Thank you to you too, Tina, for joining us from New Jersey. And I'm going to change my map visualization over here and just pull up a different thing here. And let's put up a world map. We got Peter in London. Thank you, Peter, for joining us. And if I recall right, we had someone from Asia as well. And beautiful. We got Duncan here in Shillong. So thank you everyone for joining us. This is fantastic. And the first thing I want to highlight to you is that you are writing my PowerPoint slide in real time right now. So this is really what we want to showcase. Super thrilled about it. We believe it's a huge breakthrough because for the first time, a PowerPoint slide can become a conversation. As you can see, I'm in PowerPoint online right now. I could very well have been in the PowerPoint desktop version as well. But your responses in the Zoom chat are writing my slide. A couple more questions. So how familiar are you with StreamAlive? So if you can just type a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the chat. And if a couple of these apply, just type 3, 4 or 4, 5. Would love to see some responses over here, please. All right. And oops, I'm sorry, I had paused this. I'm gonna. Okay, folks, can you type again, please? My bad. Okay, now it's coming in. Beautiful. So you got a few twos and fours. We've got different. We got a never seen it in action. So you got some folks. Michael, you've never seen it. Beautiful. Delighted to show you StreamAlive for the very first time. So we got people at various stages. I'm going to try and cover all of it. We have half an hour, and I want to be respectful of your time, so we'll keep the pace going fast. If you have any questions, type it in the chat anytime. StreamAlive has a beautiful feature that extracts questions from the chat and allows me to go back to it every once in a while. So any questions, just put it in the chat, please, folks. Our philosophy is we need to unmute the audience in live sessions. We need to make these one-way presentations conversations. We need to make every one-to-many session feel like a one-to-one session, where a presenter like me is having a one-to-one conversation with every single person in the room, right? Why is that important? Because 38 years since PowerPoint launched, 1987, and ever since then we've been making one-way presentations. And here we are in 2025, a lot of talk about AI in presentations, but I think that there's still a lot left to be desired, right? And we're talking PowerPoint, so I just want to understand one thing too from everybody over here. So if you can just type in the Zoom chat as to which of these you've used in the last 12 months. If you've used PowerPoint and Keynote, just type 1, 2. I just want to get a sense of what everybody is using. So we got a lot of PowerPoint. We got some Google Slides from Gamma, more PowerPoint. I mean, virtually everybody's using my PowerPoint. So Michael's on PowerPoint, Tina's on PowerPoint, so is Peter, so is Duncan. PowerPoint is by and far the leading number one thing, which is not surprising. I mean, more than 80% of people use PowerPoint on a very regular basis, right? So I'm just going to flip here to some of these newer kids on the block that we talked about, like Gamma and, Beautiful.ai and PowerPoint with Copilot and Canva with AI, and everybody has AI now, right? All of them help us create better slides, prettier templates, give us that initial stab at content, which ever so often is sometimes spot on or totally off the mark, but they give us a starting point. But we think there is still something missing in presentations today. And rather than force our opinion upon you and put words in your mouth. I would love to know what you think is missing from presentations today. So, in a word, if I were to ask you, presentations are unfortunately, how would you end that sentence? And by the way, if you have more than one word with which you want to end it, just type them as separate things in the comment. By now, you're all pros on participating in the Zoom chat. So, boring, I couldn't agree more. Long and boring, yes, absolutely. We got a lot of boring over there. We got linear, we got long and boring. Bullet points, yes, totally. What else, folks? Yes, more than a couple of you. I think Michael said boring, others said boring as well. And yes, we got a few of those. I mean, I couldn't agree more with that. In fact, I'm going to just riff around a little bit and see what that looks like in a picture. So I'm going to play around with the StreamAlive feature that turns responses into images. And I'm curious each time as to what happens. So I'm literally improvising on the spot. Just okay. That looks like a boring and mind-numbing picture over here, but it's fun to see what it comes up with to represent the answers that people said. Uh, but we couldn't agree more. And the reason we think is because most presentations are still one-way monologues. And presenters go talk, 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 slide, 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 slide. And we think the opportunity is really to make those dialogues, to make those conversations. And that the way to do that is to use plain old chat, which today is on Zoom. Tomorrow, not tomorrow, on Thursday, we do a demo of StreamAlive on Teams. StreamAlive works with Google Meet. But the common thing to all these platforms is they have chat, right? StreamAlive also works for in-person sessions where it creates a virtual chat, but chat is powerful. And can we turn that passive Zoom chat into a real-time dynamic interaction, which you've seen? We did it with word clouds, we did it with polls, we did it with maps, and those are just three of more than a dozen visual interactions that StreamAlive has in its growing library, right? And that allows a presenter to have a conversation. Because think about it, I'm just going to scroll back to my slides. I'm right now on slide number 9. And of the 9 slides I've taken you through so far, one, two, three, four. Four of those slides were listening slides. So I've been doing more listening than talking because I've really been listening to the voice of the audience. And right now it's a half a dozen of you. But imagine if there were 10 or 100 or 1,000 people. It's impossible to get everybody's voice out here, and now we can by visualizing the chat in real time. So that's really our core philosophy. And the reason that's important to us, I mean, it's very personal to me because a few years back during the pandemic, I took some time off for various reasons, including a personal family emergency. And during that time, I used my newfound free time to write this book. Reason I shamelessly plug in the book is because I didn't know anything about writing a book, and so I attended 6 online courses to learn how to write, edit, and market a book. And these courses were delivered over the course of about 56 live sessions. One of three things would happen in all those live sessions, whether there were 11 people in the room or 1,200 people in the room. And that was a range, really. Uh, Either the presenter would just keep talking, people would wait for the recording, and that first icon on the top right represents what they would do. They would watch it afterwards at 1.5 times the speed because there's no difference between the recorded experience and the live experience. Or the second, where the presenter would ask questions like, hey, where are you joining from? And then 50 people enthusiastically type, 2 people are acknowledged, and the remaining 48 people are ignored. Or the third, which in my opinion is the most self-sabotaging, is where a presenter would encourage their audience to pull out a phone, scan a QR code, and encourage them to go to their phones just to type a simple response, which is a lot of effort, first. And second, good luck competing with TikTok, the news, and every recent notification that somebody got on their phones. Why would you self-sabotage your session by sending someone from Zoom or Teams or wherever onto their phones where they're going to be easily distracted? But in all those cases, the chat was on fire. And that's what we do at StreamAlive. A few people just joined us over the last minute or so. So just very, very quickly, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm Lux Narayan, co-founder at StreamAlive. We've had a few interactions which are running inside of PowerPoint. And since this is the gist of what we want to demo, I want to make sure we capture your voice as well. So quick question to the folks who just joined us. If you don't mind, can you type in the Zoom chat as to where you are joining us from, please? Just type it in the chat, in the Zoom chat, your city, your country, wherever you're joining us from. All right, so we got a few new dots over here. We got someone here in, what was it? Whoops, I moved the map around a little bit. My bad. I flipped it around a little bit, but I think we have someone joining in from, was it Peter in Barcelona? We had someone in the Americas as well over here. Dr. Kimberly joining us from Charlotte, where it is 75 Fahrenheit and 10 past 11 in the morning. Hi, thank you for joining us. I'm in the same time zone here in New Jersey. So here you can see your responses authoring my PowerPoint slide. And, again, quick question to the folks who just joined us. How familiar are you with StreamAlive? Can you type a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or a 4 or even a 4 comma 5 if both of those apply? I just want to get a sense of who else just joined us and where they are in terms of StreamAlive awareness. All right, never seen it in action. Thank you. You're in for a treat. So the whole idea is StreamAlive visualizes the chat in real time. And what we're showing here is something we are launching publicly next week, by next week, but it's the ability for the chat to populate a PowerPoint slide as you're seeing right now. So this is the first time in its 38-year history that a slide will be authored by what the audience types, right? So what you've missed is about why unmuting the audience is important, how we make PowerPoint a two-way conversation, got a sense of what people use, and how StreamAlive helps make presentations, conversations, and allow a presenter to really have a conversation instead of doing talk with your audience, right? We have a lot of ground to cover in the next 15 minutes, so I'm just going to kick up the pace. If anyone has any questions, please put them in the chat anytime. But as is obvious, our beliefs are stuck one-way presentations. How do you do that? By unmuting the audience. How do you unmute an audience of 10 people or 100 people or 1,000 people? Not literally, you unmute them by making the chat stream alive. And that's what we do at StreamAlive. Make the chat stream alive, visualize the audience collectively, and give it a visual voice, right? Questions here. Oh, okay. Sorry, Peter. I should have seen your question a little earlier. Can you make the slides bigger? I'm pretty sure I can. Let me try and do that here. All right. So that is slightly bigger. I'm just keeping it this way so you get to see exactly what is happening within PowerPoint itself. But again, this is a feature called Quick Questions, automatically pulls up the questions from the chat. So I didn't have to do anything. Any questions that come show up over here. Presentation live is still a bit of an issue, Tina, because presentation live tends to capture it, strip off all add-in. So what is happening here is StreamAlive is working as an add-in, and those add-ins don't tend to work too well with presentation live. So you would need to use presentation by just sharing a screen, PowerPoint, right? These are the paths to StreamAlive. We help you plan, measure, increase, and analyze engagement. I want to make sure I show you the first and the last, which is plan and analyze. Increase engagement is a simple part. Ask people questions, acknowledge their answers, visualize them. Engagement takes care of itself, right? So to help me with planning engagement, I need a bit of help from you. So I'm going to ask you a question which might sound strange, but trust me, it has a purpose. So if you can all just type in the chat a childhood or a current hobby that you have. I'm going to pick one of them at random and actually create a live session with that and show you what it looks like and how StreamAlive. Oops, I forgot a resume interaction. I had paused this. Sorry, please type it again if you just did. But what is a childhood or a current hobby? Duncan says swimming, Tetris inspired feature, everything falls down like Tetris tiles. Photography, disco dancing, cycling, sports, officiating. Wow, that's interesting. Miniature war games. Oh my God, these are fantastic answers. We were implementing the secondary. I have my favorites over here, but I'm going to try and see if I can spin a wheel and see if that works. Let's give this a shot. It's a new thing within PowerPoint, but let's see if it works. I'm going to spin a wheel with everybody who responded. Okay, it doesn't pick up everybody who responded. So I'm just going to pick one. Let's pause all of these and reading fantasy books. All right, I'm just going to pick Peter. Did you have any favorites here? You joined us first, so you get to choose.
I I'm interested in World War II miniature war games.
World War II miniature war games.
I'm
Okay,
curious how that's going to work.
let's do that. So, folks, what I'm going to do over here is switch tracks and go into the StreamAlive web application, which is really how we started life as a web application, and just show you how, if I were doing a live session on World War II miniature war games, which I can assure you I know nothing about, how StreamAlive would come up with interesting questions for that. Peter, give me a sample audience for this as well, please.
Um, apart from adults, I don't know.
Okay, I'm just going to say history buffs over here, okay?
Okay, yeah.
All right. So I'm doing a session on World War II miniature war games on history buffs. I've heard about StreamAlive. I want StreamAlive to come up with interesting questions. And what it's doing over here is coming up with interesting questions that I could ask people. So it's saying, hey, why not ask people which city or country fascinates them the most? Which, in terms of history, what's one aspect of World War II that fascinates you? In a brief sentence, how do you think alternative historical outcomes could be represented in miniature war games? And which battle do you find the most engaging? And these are a great starting point. I'm just going to select all of these. On the spot, I'm going to create a presentation. Let's make it landscape. I keep playing around with these formats. But I've got a presentation here, which is a whole bunch of slides that look like Google Slides or PowerPoint, but they're all listening slides powered by what the audience will type in the chat. And at this point, I could import slides in here, static slides, and a lot of people weren't too thrilled about doing that, and that's why we built the PowerPoint add-in that I kicked off this session with. But let's assume I've added some static slides as well. I've got this whole presentation, and all I need to do is say that I want to present it, and I present it in whatever session I'm doing. Right now, it's presenting it in the Zoom session I'm in because I'm already connected here. So I'm going to actually exit this session, and let's go back to the presentation we just created. World War II miniature war games. Let me actually exit this session as well because I just realized I've got to, okay, I actually exited that. That's perfect. Where are we? All right. I'm going to preview this thing to get a flavor of what my session would look like if I were to run this. So again, all that's happening is this is a simulation that StreamAlive creates to show you how beautiful your World War II session can be. People are participating in the Zoom chat, and as they type answers, it shows up in a map. If it's a word cloud, people are typing in the Zoom chat, and as they type answers, it shows up in a word cloud. You get the gist. I want to show you the canvas of possibilities just with chat. I'm asking people a question like this, right? I'm asking a question on what aspect of World War II fascinates you the most. And people say history and tactics and strategy and heroes and battles. And I can have fun with this. I can say, I want to visualize all your responses in real time. And I can create an image from people's answers. And I can assure you this image has never been created before in the history of the internet because we've never had a question like this and simulations like this. But imagine creating this in the moment to represent what people just answered. I could ask a longer, nuanced question like, in a brief sentence, how do you think alternative historical outcomes could be represented? And as people give answers, I could, eyeball those answers. I could talk about, maybe try and read them and capture them and find a summary of it. Or I could just wait for all these responses to drop as they are right now and tell people, hey, folks, these are all some amazing answers. There are a lot of so many responses. I want to summarize everything that all of you said, and I can ask StreamAlive to create a summary in using AI in real time of all the responses that people said. So for the first time ever, I can have an adult conversation with people in the room that goes beyond raise your hands, put your hands down, and ask them an open-ended question and summarize their responses, find out what the popular opinion is, find out if there are any alternative voices. But this has never been possible in the history of one-to-many sessions, a one-to-many conversation with the audience around an open-ended topic, right? You can imagine how this will transform training and all of it. I'm just going to go through all of these to show you what all we have on the menu. We've got polls. You saw that a little while back. We've got a feature which I love called transient thoughts, which simulates the presenter literally jumping from one person to the other and reading their thoughts in real time. Spin a wheel to pick the next topic. Choose an emoji to capture people. and what they think. Ask people to rate things on a scale of 1 to 5. Again, the only thing people are doing is typing in the chat. Have questions, have quizzes, have a leaderboard, spin a wheel based on who participated, and figure out a winner from among everybody who participated. Have fun with that. Have a bit of confetti coming up, and a whole bunch of things, right? Automatically detect questions from the chat, categorize those questions, allow, some are on wargaming, some of them are on hobbies, and the presenter gets to answer them in bunches, pull out links, whole bunch of things that are possible. Too much for us to capture here, but the best way to experience all this and do everything I just showed you is simply to go to streamalive.com and sign up for a free account. It's absolutely free for you to play around and do everything I just showed you is available in a free account. You can play with our AI, you can put a topic, you can see simulations for it, and in less than a week from today, you can run all of those things inside of PowerPoint. Because what you could do then is go into a PowerPoint slide, and I'm just going to do that right now as we speak. And say you want to add the StreamAlive extension, which will be publicly available. Right now it says private. You add that into your slide. It connects with your main StreamAlive account and allows you to pull anything from your existing presentation. So for example, I have my World War II miniature war games that we just created. I could take one of these things and add them as a slide into my PowerPoint right now. And the end result, if I were to connect this to Zoom or wherever, is that people would type in the Zoom chat like you've been doing so far. And my slide would come to life with the responses that people type in the Zoom chat. This is powerful because for the first time, a PowerPoint slide is being written by the audience in real time. Right. I want to show you a couple more things over here very, very quickly because sometimes you don't know what to ask, right? So we have something else we've built over here. So this is a presentation I have on increasing your AI IQ. And let's say I am 4 slides down and I think, oh gosh, I've been speaking for so long. It's a good time to have an interaction. I simply add StreamAlive's add-in. I previously logged into my account, so it remembers that and logs into my StreamAlive account each time. And I say, you know what, I want some help here. Give me a suggestion after reading the last few slides as to what I should ask at this point. So it's reading my slides. It's read those 3 slides. It's generating suggested interactions. And it says, based on the last 3 slides that you have, here are questions you could ask. You could ask people, name one AI technology you use regularly. And think about it. It's a perfect follow on to having talked about AI technologies you already use. Imagine at that point saying, hey folks, tell me an AI technology you use regularly. I add this to my PowerPoint slide. It shows up over here. And if I were to connect this to Zoom, it would just read off the Zoom chat in real time, right? So for example, I'm just going to try and do that over here. Connect to Zoom. Same Zoom link that all of you used to join this session. And folks, please tell me one AI technology that you use regularly. Give me a second. We're just going to wait for StreamAlive to join the session. That should happen in a bit. There it is. And can you type something in the chat, please? Anything you use. ChatGPT, beautiful. So you saw that it took me less than 30 seconds to create the slide, connect it to my Zoom, and if I were actually doing this training session on AI, just imagine how beautiful it would be because I've moved from talking to listening, and all you had to do was type it in the chat, right? So a lot of things you can do over here. I could, play with the responses. I could pick somebody who's responded to this question. So everybody who answered something on this question, I'm going to pick someone at random, and it says, "Hey, Tina, what did Tina say?" Tina said Gamma and Chat GPT, and I can acknowledge Tina's answers and have a lot of fun with this. But you see how this changes the shape and form of presentations, makes them conversations. And last couple of things I want to make sure I show you is that at the end of each session, StreamAlive also gives you these beautiful analytics I'll let you play around with it after you sign up for your free StreamAlive account, but who participated, how the chat was on fire each time. The colored bars are where the presenter used StreamAlive. This is a presentation that we did with a guest of ours. So I have access to the analytics as a result. I can tell you exactly what this amazing author Jessie Paul did, how she asked people what they do for a living, had conversations with them. The chat was on fire, and these are the end results of it, which you can then share on LinkedIn, Facebook, or download or get a PPT or a spreadsheet of it. It's a lot of bells and whistles. Too much for us to cover in a 30-minute session, but you have access to all of this if you were to sign up for a free account and play around with StreamAlive, right? For those folks who are big Zoom fans, Zoom has an app marketplace, 3,000 apps and counting. Very, very thrilled to share that if you look at their featured AI apps, StreamAlive is the number one featured AI app in the Zoom marketplace. It's the number one employee engagement app, and it's the number one app for education. So we didn't get into this, but if you wanted to run a StreamAlive interaction within Zoom itself without ever having to leave Zoom or do anything, you can do that as well. So our vision is anywhere that people present, whether it's PowerPoint or Gamma or any of those, or anywhere that people meet, whether it's Google Meet or Teams or PowerPoint or Zoom, we want to make all of those conversations and less of monologues and more of dialogues. Okay. Perfect. I think I disconnected StreamAlive from my bot earlier, but I'm going to go here and just see if there are any other questions, anything in the chat. And I think there's a question around quiz questions as well. Yes, we can do quiz questions. I should have shown you this, but StreamAlive has a whole quiz module. So if I wanted to add a quiz thing, I could go in here and say, I want to add a quiz. Where is that? Quiz. And you could have a Kahoot-like quiz, except it's powered by the chat, and people get to participate in the most frictionless way possible. They don't need to whip out their phones, go somewhere else and be distracted, right? So absolutely, again, can't encourage you enough to go sign up for an account, play around with StreamAlive, and we will have the PowerPoint add-in coming out by this time next week. So if you were to sign up for a free StreamAlive account, you will be in the mailing list and you will get a heads up when this is publicly available on the Microsoft App Store for you to use and add in to make your PowerPoint slides conversational. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care, folks. Have a lovely rest of your day. I'm around for a couple more minutes. If anyone wanted to have a one-on-one conversation, feel free to unmute yourself, have a chat, but the public part of the webinar is over at this point. Happy to answer any one-on-one questions that anyone has. Just unmute yourself and ask away if there's anything I can help you with. But thank you for joining us.
Hi, this is Dr. Kimberly. Quick question. Can you use StreamAlive even if you're just a guest speaker on so it's my presentation, but it's someone else's Zoom or Teams account? Would that still work, or do I have to be the host?
Great point. I'm glad you asked that. So is this a Zoom meeting or a Zoom webinar?
It is a Zoom meeting. So I
Zoom.
give presentations to clients, but they usually want me to log in as a guest using their platform.
Got it. So in that case, absolutely yes. What would happen is if you were to enter the same link like I did a little while back, in my case, I could admit the bot straight away because it was my meeting. But in your case, what would happen is, let's say it's Peter's meeting and you enter the Zoom link. Peter as a host is going to get an alert saying, Kimberly's bot would like to join the meeting. It's exactly the same as any note taker or something. And if Peter says, yes, you can, I'm going to allow the bot in, that's all you need. It's a very similar thing with Teams as well, where we recently launched the ability for a bot to join a Teams meeting for exactly this use case, where it's not your meeting, you're not the host, but you want a bot to join. And the only thing the bot is doing is reading the chat so that it can visualize it in real time. So yes, and I would encourage you to, Zoom, sometimes people have different settings and stuff, but this, sometimes you might need someone to change some setting, but this would work in 98% of the cases. So just try it out. And I do it in a lot of guest sessions that I present in as well.
Okay, thank you.
Answer is yes. Yeah.
And one more question. So I know it's free to try. Is there going to be a price associated once it goes live next week?
So even right now, there is a price associated with the platform. So I'll just show you what that looks like right away. So the platform is live at this point, and whoops, I'm sorry, I need to pull up something else over here. So if you go to streamalive.com and you were to click on pricing, so it's free for up to 10 commenters in the room, meaning if you have less than 10 people participating, it's absolutely free.
Mm.
If you needed more than 10, it starts at about $40 a month. It's of course lesser than that if you're looking at an annual plan. And if you want, an unlimited number of commenters and a lot more bells and whistles, it goes to about $75 a month or $900 a year. So the primary determinant is how much you want to brand it, custom themes, and all of those things, which are all possible in the higher paid plans, and how big your audience is on a recurring basis. And this is what we currently have for people using the StreamAlive web application or StreamAlive inside of Zoom. There's no extra charge for using it within PowerPoint. All the licenses that apply to your StreamAlive account will apply inside of PowerPoint. We're just looking at PowerPoint as just another vessel for you to drink StreamAlive off of. We don't charge you anything extra for that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I think Ed has a question, Lux.
Oh, thank you. I'm just looking at it. I present erratically. Do you have one-time use pricing? Ed, we have been considering, pay-as-you-go kind of pricing. We don't have it at this point, but to share with you that the plan is to have something that allows for sporadic usage. Right now, the best option would be to take a starter plan and either use it annually or just take a monthly stop. We don't encourage it, but that's something you could do. In a couple of months, I hope we have the pay-as-you-go plan that allows exactly the kind of use case you're talking about. It just ended up being a little more complicated than we'd like, but at some point we should have that. But do try to play around with it till then, and keep the feedback coming, please. Awesome. Thank you. Someone just joined us, HLA. Thank you for joining us, but we just finished the webinar and we run this every week. So we should have it at 11 a.m. Eastern next week on Zoom on Tuesday. And on Thursday, Peter or Duncan, could you put the link to the Luma calendar, please, in the chat so that HLA can sign up for the next event? We have one day after tomorrow on Teams. So if Teams is your poison, join us the day after tomorrow. And if you want to stick to Zoom, 11 a.m. Eastern next week. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely day. Take care.